All right, listen closely, because if you've been holding IQD and you've heard people saying it finally happened, this video is for you. A wave of chatter is spreading that the Iraqi Official Gazette has published language tied to currency reform, and people are treating that like the green light for a major shift. But here's what most videos won't do. I'm going to walk you through what the Gazette publication actually means, what steps typically come after, what you should be watching for next, and how to protect yourself from bad information, because when excitement spikes, scams spike too. Let's break this down the right way. First, we need to understand why the Iraqi Official Gazette matters at all. The Gazette is Iraq's official government publication. It's where laws, regulations, and government decisions are formally recorded for the public. In many cases, a decision can be discussed publicly, debated, voted, signed, but it doesn't fully enter the legal system until it's published. That's why people pay attention. Publication can signal that something has moved from talk into formal framework. Now, important detail, publication is not always the same thing as instant implementation, but it can mean the legal foundation is being put in place. And when it comes to monetary policy, that's a big deal. So what are people claiming is inside these publications? The interpretations floating around point to themes like updated monetary reform language, expanded central bank tools and authority, exchange rate management changes, and steps aimed at reducing multiple rate distortions, and frameworks that support broader international trade alignment. In plain English, the conversation is that Iraq is tightening and modernizing how the financial system functions so it can operate more smoothly with the global economy. And here's the key takeaway. When you see legal language around currency structure, bank authority, and exchange mechanisms, it usually means the country is positioning itself for stability and controlled reform, not chaos. Now, let's rewind for a second, because this didn't appear out of thin air. Iraq's currency story has been shaped by major events since the early 2000s. After regime change and years of instability, currency confidence dropped. Over time, Iraq rebuilt key revenue sources, especially energy infrastructure, and worked toward restoring institutional stability. In more recent years, you've seen recurring public focus on stronger banking compliance, anti-corruption frameworks, reserve management, and modernization of the financial system. So whether you believe in a big change or you don't, what's undeniable is this: Iraq has been working step by step toward a more structured financial future. Here's where people need to stay grounded. A Gazette publication, if it's tied to monetary reform, can act like the green light that allows a process to begin, but it doesn't mean everything changes the same night. What typically comes next, if major reform is real, is 1. Clear communication from the central bank, 2. Operational readiness inside banks, 3. Public-facing implementation steps, and 4. Alignment across ministries and regulatory bodies. If you don't see official follow-through, then what you have is a legal or policy step, not a completed event. So the real question is, what signals should IQD holders watch for? Here's your practical watch list. Official CBI updates that directly address exchange policy or mechanisms. Banking circulars or implementation notes, if publicly available. Shifts toward rate normalization or simplification. Clear guidance to financial institutions about how exchange is handled. And confirmation through regulated banking channels, not social media screenshots. If a major event were underway, you would see consistency across multiple official touchpoints, not just one excited interpretation. Now let's talk about the part people love, the math. You'll hear examples like, If the rate becomes X, then 1 million dinar equals Y. I'm going to say this carefully. It's okay to run hypothetical math for planning, but don't treat hypothetical rates as guaranteed. Because even in real currency events, what matters is the bank's posted buy rate, the spread between buy and sell, fees, and local tax rules. So if you're thinking in big numbers, also think realistically. Your final outcome may be lower than the headline number, and the timeline may be longer than the internet promised. That's not negativity, it's responsible planning. Another reason people get excited is because Iraq's financial reforms are watched internationally. When countries reform currency systems, global institutions and regional partners often pay attention because it affects trade settlement, investment confidence, cross-border banking, and economic stability. So yes, if Iraq is tightening monetary policy frameworks, it's not happening in a vacuum. But again, global interest in reform does not automatically equal instant revaluation. Now, here's where I get direct. If you're holding IQD, you don't need panic, but you do need a plan. Here's your basic action plan. 1. Secure what you hold. Keep currency stored safely. Don't hand it to anyone for verification. 2. Organize your records. If you have receipts, invoices, or purchase proof, keep them accessible. 3. Check legitimate exchange routes. Look at regulated banks in your area and ask general questions like, do you exchange Iraqi dinar and what documentation would you require? 4. Get tax awareness. Talk to a qualified tax pro in your country so you're not surprised later. 5. Avoid the scam zone. If someone promises private access, early exchange, contract rates, or asks for upfront fees, walk away. Preparation is not optional because confusion is when people make expensive mistakes. Now, before you rush into any exchange idea, there's another claim spreading heavily that Tuesdays and Wednesdays are worse days to exchange, while Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays are better. So what's that about? Let's talk about it realistically. People online share stories where midweek appointments allegedly produced lower rates, while later week appointments did better. You'll hear narratives like, someone went midweek and got a lower posted rate, then their friend went Friday and got a better outcome. Now, here's the part that matters. In real banking, liquidity and settlement cycles can influence how institutions manage pricing and spreads, especially around reporting, reserve balancing, and weekly settlement patterns. But, and this is important, there is no universal public rule that says Tuesday and Wednesday are always bad. So here's the smarter way to treat this. If you ever have a real exchange option, compare posted rates across days. Ask about spreads and fees, and don't let appointment folklore replace official information. If you have flexibility, you can aim for times when banks are fully operational and not in shortened hours. But your best protection is transparency, posted rates, written terms, and regulated channels. Zooming out, if Iraq is moving forward with monetary reform, that's bigger than internet hype. For Iraq, it's about stability, confidence, and stronger participation in global trade. For holders, the best move isn't champagne today. The best move is clarity today, because the people who win in these moments are not the loudest, they're the most prepared. If you want, I can do a follow-up video where I break down what exchange rate unification means in simple terms, how spreads and fees affect real outcomes, and how to spot scams instantly. Drop a comment. Are you hearing more RV hype or more weekday timing claims? And if this helped, hit like, subscribe, and I'll keep these updates coming.